welcome to our podcast where we will be sharing our student stories. From culture on campus to inspiring individuals, we'll give you an insight into our international student community. I'm Fedor, a history first year PhD student, and today we're going to talk about the different music societies you can get involved with at York. Often, new students think that they can only access music facilities at university if they're studying a music-related course. But at York, this couldn't actually be further from the truth. We have loads of music and performance societies, which in many cases you can join without much previous experience. They're a great way to meet new people and try something new. I'm joined by Joseph and Billy, so if you could guys go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Joseph. I'm a second year English language and linguistics student.
And I'm Millie. I'm a second year history politics student.
Why don't you both tell us about which societies you're part of?
So I'm part of CHMS, which is the Central Hall Musical Society. So we do a lot of different musical theatre things all throughout the year. And there's opportunities in that both for if you're more of a singer and sort of your instrument is your voice, or if you'd rather join the band and play some of the performances that we do with the full band, then there's opportunities for everyone in that.
I'm a part of Music Society, and I'm also part of the Circulation magazine, which is the uni's music magazine.
Both of these sound really, really, really exciting there. Starting with the CHMS, what does a typical rehearsal look like?
Yeah, so it honestly varies quite a lot. We do a lot of different things throughout the year. Say if you were going in to the band as part of one of our shows, depending on the show, we have bands of different sizes. So there's always opportunities for whatever instrument you play. And we are sort of always on the lookout for people who can play in these things, because people sort of hear musical society and they just think of the performance aspect in terms of like the singing, dancing, acting side. But there is a lot for people who are playing in the band. So, for example, a rehearsal for that, say, it could be sort of meeting with the musical director and they'll teach you through some of the songs that they'll be performing alongside the performers. Or if you were interested in the performing side, we meet 3 times a week for our big shows. Either we learn the vocals or we maybe put it together with some movement. So there's like a big variety of stuff we get up to, definitely.
Sounds really cool. Joseph, what does a typical music society meetup look like?
With Music Society, I've only just joined that one, so I'm not as involved with the actual social events for that one. And I use it just to because they offer affordable music lessons. So I've been trying to learn music there because I'm not a musician, but I've always wanted to learn. But for Circulation, obviously where it's a magazine, they want to try and make it seem like as professional as possible. So they do something like a launch party event for every time they put out like a new issue. So in December, they had one for their issue 3, and that was at the Fulford Arms, and they got loads of bands together to perform in honor of it. It was also partnered with an event that was already going on there called Hoochmas, which was a kind of Christmas themed event, but it was surrounding the drink hooch. But it was quite a nice way to celebrate both the magazine and then also that and Christmas. And yeah, so they do a lot of socials like that. But then obviously you have like meetings about what you're going to do, like what kind of music we're going to write about, what kind of topics we want to talk about. And then normally they'll have like a more typical like night out or drinks out social after that.
Joseph, you mentioned getting lessons.
Yes.
How does that work?
So it was actually how I found out about this society. So I wanted to learn how to sing. So I was looking, where can I do that? And they match you up with different student teachers from the society. And you can learn sort of anything. I obviously chose singing, but you can do like the cello or like piano or whatever like that. And then you meet up with them. You can choose different lengths of lessons. So you can do a 15-minute, 45-minute or an hour-long lesson, and they're a decent price. And I know that my teacher personally she's really lovely and really helpful, and it's definitely like made me feel more confident about it, about just music and enjoying it a bit more. And then on top of that, joining society gives you access to the Derwent practice rooms, which they've got 4 rooms there that range in different sizes and have different instruments and that in there. And they're 24 hours, so you can book them anytime. And they're a really fun place to go and practice. Because I know for me, I can be quite shy. And especially with a new skill, I think you kind of want your own space to practice. And it's a great place to do that.
That does sound really, really great. A question for both of you and all of the societies that you're part of. So with the CHMS, how many performances are typically put up in a year?
Yeah, so we do a lot of different things throughout the year. So we do 3 full-scale off-campus shows. So they will take up a big portion of your time. They're sort of rehearsing 16 hours a week. So it definitely is a big commitment, and they are audition based. So you do have to audition to get into those. But we also do 2 showcases a year, one at winter, one in the summer, and they're on at Central Hall. We have a live band for all of those, and everybody gets into that. So you audition sort of to be assigned sort of a role in that showcase, but everyone who auditions gets in. And honestly, I found that the best way to sort of make friends in the society, because, you know, everybody is there. It's a really fun, inclusive environment for sort of just mixing with people. And there's always the nights out after the shows, which are obviously really good for mixing too. We also do sort of soiree events, which is sort of like an open mic night, usually at Glasshouse on East. And that was the first thing I did in first year to join the society. I did find it quite daunting because you're sort of getting up and singing in front of a room full of strangers. But it was really, really good, and everyone was so supportive, and it was just a really nice, welcoming environment to be part of.
So with the Circulation magazine, Joseph, how many issues do you typically put out in a year?
It was basically a revived society. So it's been around for years and years, but then the third years that were running it obviously left, and then they had to sort of restart again from scratch. So that's why we're only on issue 3. But at the moment, the schedule is kind of like sort of 2 to 3 a year. And then you kind of plan all of the events and everything around that.
Well, considering you've just restarted it, being on issue 3 is very, very impressive. So do you guys have any favorite moments from your experience with the music societies?
I think my favourite moment would probably be at the end of my first year. We did the musical Carrie, which is based off the horror film Carrie. And I got the role of Carrie, which was, I just really did not expect to get. And that was such a good experience and really got me involved in the society. But no spoilers, but at the end of the show, she gets blood poured on her head as a prank by her schoolmates. And so obviously that happened 4 times in a row every night. So we had to do like a test to try and make sure that that wasn't going to like stain me or stain my hair. And so like a memory that really sticks out is being on the big field opposite Heslington Hall and someone having a bucket full of fake blood and just pouring it on me, and then me having to make my way back to my halls in Halifax covered in this fake blood and with no real explanation. It was so bizarre, but just so much fun and just so like random and silly, but it's what you had to do.
That's a pretty cool story.
So silly.
Yeah.
Did anyone ask you if you needed some help?
Yeah, I got a lot of concerned faces.
Because it is quite a walk from
Yeah, I got my
Halifax.
flatmate to come pick me up so that I wasn't, well, like walk with me so that I wasn't on my own walking.
Yeah, you live to tell the tale.
Exactly.
I would probably say one of my favorite memories from Music Society is kind of like it was a big breakthrough for me, but it sounds really, really minor in terms of the singing lessons. So I remember my teacher, Clara, she's amazing. She was telling me about all these different exercises I can do in like the first couple of weeks. And one of them was doing like trills, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it now, but it's kind of like, you know, when you sort of blow raspberries, that kind of thing. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it at all. So it was like, it's really difficult. And I remember she'd just tell me, you know, one day you kind of get it. Like you kind of got to think of it, like don't think of it too much. And, you know, every week I go to the practice rooms by myself and just like sit there for a good 10-15 minutes figuring out how to do it. And then it was like sort of just one week I did manage to do it. And I came into my lesson the next week. I was like, I can do it now. I can do it. And it was so cool. It's like little things like that, like little breakthroughs of like learning something new, which are just the coolest moments of my time with Music Sock so far.
I think we've mentioned auditions in this conversation already, but do you have to audition to join the Music Sock or CHMS?
Yeah, for CHMS, obviously it does vary. The big shows are audition-based just because they're external and they are a big commitment. I remember in first year, I didn't get into this first big show I auditioned for, and I sort of found it quite difficult to come back from that and sort of go again at something. But it did really help having these showcase events, which everyone got into, to sort of be a part of that. And it did mean that there was more opportunities to get involved without it being purely audition-based. There's obviously things like committee as well, which anyone could be part of. If you're in the CHMS community, everyone goes to those elections, and we just had our annual general meeting the other week. So it's been really good for me personally being part of that committee to get to know more people who obviously we all have this shared interest of theatre and music. but it's sort of in a different context, which I've really enjoyed.
So with Music Sock, as I say, I personally don't do any performances in that because I'm just at the beginning of sort of learning about it. But I do know that they do 2 lunchtime concerts every week.
Great. And another open question to both of you. What's your favourite part about being part of a music-related society that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I feel like it offers me something completely different from my degree, which I really enjoy. There's obviously the theatre kid stereotype, which you hear of, but we all just get on really well. We all have this sort of common interest in something a bit niche. But when you're in the rehearsal room, it's just a good time. And you're all working really hard towards something. But at the end of the day, when you perform and you get that sort of reaction and the payment of that is really nice. So I think it's just been a really fun society to be part of.
Following on from that, I would agree that the people are what make it so much fun. It's so nice to join a society where you have sort of the shared interest that you're all interested in music, and obviously where it's a magazine, you can all read each other's articles. You can be like, oh, that's really cool. Like, how did you even come up with the idea for that? You can all celebrate at the end once you've got this final product, and it's just really cool and fun, a fun way to sort of engage with others, make new friends.
Are there any specific perks that come with being part of your society?
I think the performance aspect was something I was looking for at uni. So I feel like the perk of being able to perform at these theatres throughout York has been amazing. Like we're doing a production of Grease at the moment, which starts next week at the Joseph Rowntree Theatre in York. So like just getting to sort of like add and give back to the York community is really nice, definitely.
Probably the main perk that I've had is, as I said earlier, about those practice rooms. They're really lovely rooms. I always tend to choose the smaller one because it's normally just me in there. But they've got bigger spaces as well, which sometimes when you're in there, you can hear like the other bands that are practicing and stuff. And it's quite inspirational, but also quite daunting as a new learner. But you get over it because obviously it's more the fun side of it. You're more inspired by other people and you kind of have more of a goal, like, oh, I really like what they're doing. I'd love to know how to do that. And they're in a sort of prime location on the campus. They're quite tucked away. It's quite cool because then you're quite secluded. So you've got a really nice private space to sort of learn.
That does sound absolutely amazing. I will have to check out those rooms because, embarrassingly enough, as a member of the Open College and having been here for years, I've actually never wandered into them. When it comes to the performances that are put up by your societies, do you have to perform solos or is that optional?
It's completely optional. Yeah, there's always the opportunity for you there if you did want to go for that solo or a smaller group sort of performance like that. But there is so many opportunities to be in the ensemble and to be part of more of the group work, because that is at the end of the day sort of the foundations of the performance, definitely. In terms of musicians and sort of instruments, depending on the song, there'll always be solos. But there is just something for everyone really in that aspect. There's no pressure from anyone, which is really nice.
I know we've already sort of mentioned some of the socials, but what are they like outside of the rehearsals and actual productions?
Yeah, we definitely use socials as sort of a way, if you're rehearsing for a show, it's a nice time just to relax and catch up with people outside of that rehearsal room, which I found really helpful. We'll often go to V-Bar or Courtyard after a rehearsal if we're on campus, or especially after the final night of like a show or something. It'll be more in town at Spoons, having, just like catching up after the show. We had like a Traitors theme social when Traitors was on, which was really funny. Someone got the wig on and the eye makeup and was Claudia Winkleman. I guess just like it kind of added to that theatrical aspect of the society, because we played a full game and had all these challenges on campus, which was really fun. So there's always something different going on, which I really like, whether it's relaxing after a rehearsal or like an organised social to sort of catch up and make friends. Yeah.
The cool thing about circulation as well is, where it's a media society, they can partner with with other societies. So they can partner with sort of the other media outlets to do like a shared sort of social event. One of my favorite ones is they partnered with Bandsock nearer to the start of the year, but they had a sort of open mic event at a bar in town called Polymath, and it's quite a small one and it's quite a nice one. And I saw some really cool stuff there. There was one guy that he got up there and you kind of seemed quite shy and you didn't really know what he was going to perform. But then essentially he started like beatboxing, but like really, really good. It was like freestyle beatboxing, and then in between he was saying about like the inspirations behind it and stuff like that. It was a really cool and surprising moment of just like, I remember being sat there with my friend just like, oh, I was not expecting was not expecting that. So there's a lot of cool stuff that goes on, especially at the sort of student performance sort of band events. There's always something cool that happens.
And the Polymath is a great venue.
Yes,
it is.
yes.
It is very cool. Definitely recommend it as a base for any social.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just finally, would you recommend joining a music society to someone who's completely new to York?
Absolutely. I think it's been, I find that the music society is one of the ones that interested me the most when I was looking around at Freshers' Fair and things like that, in both first and second year, because there's, at least for me, they've been like the most welcoming and friendly people. It's very easy to sort of get your groove and to meet new people and to sort of enjoy, obviously, the music that's always tends to be around you at a music society. It's a nice way of just having like a chilled environment to sort of enjoy uni at other times other than on your course.
Yeah, I completely agree with Joseph. I feel like the opportunities you get from music societies while you're at uni is just something that you have to take advantage of while they're here. If you're thinking about it, like, what's the worst that could happen? You're just going to be filled with welcoming people and just have a really fun time doing what you enjoy. So yeah, definitely.
Thank you very much, guys, for this conversation. I think that's all we have time for today. Thank you for listening, and I hope you now feel confident in choosing a music society when you get to uni. Until next time.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.